this has been Falcon's Media Corner, and welcome back to another movie review, AK After Us All. And today I'm going to be talking about the 2021 crime drama known as Cherry. Now, Cherry, this was directed by the Russo brothers, which you may know their names for directing four of the biggest superhero blockbusters in history of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which are Captain America: The Winter Soldier, Captain America: Civil War, Avengers: Infinity War, and most recently, Avengers: Endgame. And so basically, this movie basically tells the story of this man named Cherry, played by Tom Holland. And basically, we see that he was a college student, and he decided to drop out of college to basically become a soldier in the army. And basically, he fought with the army in Iraq. And basically, what happens is, after returning from the war, he is now suffering from PTSD after the whole events he had faced in Iraq. And basically, his life turns into spiral when he starts taking drugs, and then basically we see him robbing banks and becoming a criminal. So that's pretty much the story of Cherry. So for going into Cherry, I didn't even know much about the whole true story that happened because, again, this is based on a true story about this man who, his name is Nico Walker, which, even though his fictional name in this movie is the title of this movie, Cherry. And so for learning about the whole story, I heard this is based off a book which I've never read, but I decided to check it out because of the directors of the film, which are the Russo brothers, which, they've made some, thrilling, they've made just brilliant best, like box office hits, in the summer for its main genre, which is superheroes, which they've done, the Marvel Cinematic Universe with the two Captain America sequels, as well as the last two Avengers movies, which I've mentioned before. And you've got Tom Holland in this one, of course, which you may, of course, know him in the Marvel Cinematic Universe as Spider-Man, which I haven't seen much films he's done outside of Spider-Man, but I have started seeing a few. Like, I've seen him in, like, Doolittle, Spies in Disguise, The Devil All the Time, which that was his new film from last year. And now he's got two films this year, which is Cherry, which came out like a couple weeks ago. And he's got Chaos Walking, which already came out in the US, but it doesn't come out till Friday. And I'll do a review of that on Friday for you guys on my channel, and let you guys know what I think of that movie when I do watch it. But yeah, it was great to see Tom Holland doing more great roles. He's doing more good roles outside of Spider-Man, like he did before. The first time, and this is the second like violent movie I've seen him doing, because the first one was The Devil All the Time, which that came out last year on Netflix, and I thought that was a good movie, and I will do a review of that on my channel and let you guys know in perspective of how good I thought the movie was. And so from the way it's told for this movie, it's basically like how the style of like how Forrest Gump was, because for Forrest Gump, it's basically about a man who made history, which he was in like a lot of things that were named in history. And then we see him like go through like his tough childhood to basically what he is known to this day. It's kind of like this in Cherry, but in a different way, about this young man who he dropped out of college to basically join the army, and then after the whole events he faced in the war in Iraq, we see him like struggling with his own life, really, like his love life with his lover Emily, played by Ciara Bravo, and as well as being addicted to drugs, and we see him like really just like becoming a criminal by robbing banks. And so I decided to check out this movie because, again, it's starring Tom Holland, and I love Tom Holland. He's one of my favorite young actors I've seen since the Marvel Cinematic Universe and as Spider-Man. And for the directors, it was really fascinating. It was really fascinating to see like what they were doing outside of being huge blockbusters like they did with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But unfortunately for this movie wasn't that great. It was half decent, but it was overall a very disappointing film. But really though, the main problem with this movie is really its story. It didn't feel like it had much story to tell about about the life of this young man. And like I said, the way it's told is basically like in the perspective of Forrest Gump, and we do have narration in the movie, which I get into when I talk about the performances of the movie. But the story, it felt nearly a bit familiar to me to Forrest Gump, because of the way it's been told. And the writing in this movie I thought was very weak, because there were some choices in the movie that that for what Tom Holland's character does in the movie, you kind of tell like the choice he makes is really bad, because again, we see him like making these kind of choices outside of like after he fought in the war, and then all his life kind of spirals him into madness really when he starts taking drugs and then starts robbing banks. I just thought that was very weak and really lazy, really. For some of the writing moments in the film, I thought was just lazy. However, for the acting in the movie, Tom Holland, I think he delivered a really solid and good performance here in the movie, and I think this is one of his good performances he's given outside of playing Spider-Man. But this is not my favorite performance he's given outside of playing Spider-Man, but nonetheless, he did deliver a good job. And his narration in the film, I just thought wasn't that good. It just felt like in the know of like narrations of movies I have seen before, but his narration in the movie is just definitely in the know to next to other ones that aren't really that good, to be honest with you. And as for the other performances in the movie, they all gave a solid performance, enough for their characters in the movie. But mainly though, the biggest issue with the movie is really its direction in this film by the Russo brothers, which, don't get me wrong, the Russo brothers, they are really talented directors, you know, for making such big blockbuster hits, you know, with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They directed those movies so well, you know, mainly for its action sequences, which the action sequences for those movies are, you know, stunning to watch. But here though, the direction went completely opposite from what they usually did in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I thought like they were going to do something good, like good direction outside what they did for their own movies they did in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But unfortunately, the direction of this film felt very sloppy, and yet very messy for a few scenes. Although there were some good shots in the movie, I liked some of the cinematography used for some good shots in the movie. But unfortunately, there weren't any good directed scenes that just really makes it a total mess of a movie. But in the end, though, Cherry, this was just such a disappointing movie. I wish it would have been a lot better, but unfortunately, it wasn't like I wasn't like anticipating for the movie. I was curious to know what the Russo brothers were gonna do when you mostly know their names for being in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But unfortunately, I say this is probably my least favorite films they've directed. But don't get me wrong, like I said, they are really talented directors, but this unfortunately has to be my least favorite. Although again, Tom Holland, he delivered a good performance. Although there were just really some sloppy, weak, and messy moments in the movie that I just thought was just really disappointing. And it's just both a mixture of being a half decent movie, because there's some kind of interesting parts, but there's really that just doesn't make it seem so interesting, and just makes a really disappointing movie. So, but if you're a fan of Tom Holland, or if you're a fan of the Russo brothers, this would be a watch for you. And this is on Apple TV. If you guys have Apple TV, you can check out this one if you'd like to. So overall, I'm gonna give Cherry a C-. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching for my review of Cherry. If you did see the movie, I would love to hear your thoughts of this film. Did you enjoy this, or did you not really care for this one? So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and stay tuned for my next AK After I Saw review, as well as another movie review. I'll be doing probably a double movie review for two movies that are very familiar in its own way, in a special way. And I can't wait to do those videos for you guys tomorrow for April Fool's Day. So yeah, again, thank you guys so much for watching, and stay tuned for those videos coming tomorrow. And this has been Falcons Media Corner signing off.